Hey, 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 it's Tia, baby. And I am back with another Selena video. So I'm getting ready to read the third part, the final part of Selena with Love. I hope you're ready. Get your tissues out if you need it. For those that have not heard, like some of the details that Chris gave about the day that she passed. So I'm gonna give you like 10 seconds, and then we're going to go start part 3. All right, here we go. She probably thought I would be with you, and that's why she said no, I said. Yeah, and she probably also knows that if I take her to the hospital, they won't find anything wrong, Selena said. Maybe I should go over there anyway. Don't. Just stay here with me. I said, we'll handle everything tomorrow, okay? Okay. Selena agreed, and we both fell asleep at last. In the morning, I woke up to the sound of Selena shuffling things around in the bedroom. I opened one eye and watched her getting her clothes together. I didn't know where she was going, but I was too sleepy to wonder about it. I didn't even think about the motel or Oompa. Selena showered and dressed, then opened the door of our bedroom to leave. As she did, my dad opened the door to the guest bedroom at the same time. Selena had completely forgotten that he was in the house. She screamed at the sight of him, really loud, a scared kind of scream. I jumped out of bed. What? What's going on? I shouted. Selena turned around and started laughing, that great big laugh of hers. It's nothing. Go back to bed, Chris. I'm sorry. I forgot your dad was here. He really scared me. At the same time, I could see my dad in the hallway apologizing. I didn't mean to scare you, he said to Selena, but truthfully, he also looked pretty startled. My dad and Selena talked for a few minutes in the hallway. I turned over and went back to sleep. I didn't even think to ask Selena why she was up so early. She often woke me before I did, got dressed, and chilled around the house, made phone calls, or went off to have breakfast with her dad. The only unusual thing about that morning was that I had been awakened by Selena screaming. Selena, it turned out, was on her way to the day's end. She had talked to Oompa again that morning, and she was determined to take Oompa to the hospital and have her examined after that so-called rape. That was Selena's style. She was going to see things through and prove that Oompa was lying. Selena called me a little later that morning to tell me that she had taken Oompa to the doctor's regional hospital. Now they were returning to the day's end. I couldn't find my keys, Selena confessed. So I took your truck and your cell phone. Oompa was in the truck with her, so Selena lowered her voice as she told me that the doctors had found no evidence of rape. There was nothing else Oompa had now that could keep Selena there. They were on their way back to the motel, and Selena would come home. I thought. Maybe we would finally be rid of that woman and her craziness. I went with my dad in his car to pick up the groceries we needed for dinner and to run a few other errands. The sky was cloudy and gray, and the day had a gloomy feel to it. Something made me decide to call off the other errands after we bought the groceries. You know what? I said to my dad, let's just go back to the house. I can go back out again later. We left the seafood place where we bought the shark and drove home. When I saw that the answering machine light was blinking, I pushed and play and listened to a cryptic message from one of the DJ friends in the valley. Hey Chris, he said, is everything okay? Call me back. Why hadn't he called my cell phone? I wondered. Then I remembered that Selena had my phone in the truck with her. Nobody could reach me. There was another message as well. This one was from who had heard a rumor that Selena had been hurt or in an accident. I just rolled my eyes. Selena and I often got these kind of crazy calls because the media and corporates was always looking for another story they could do about her. I was in the bedroom and my dad was in the living room and watching TV. When the phone rang, I let the answer machine pick up the call. I never answered the phone right away. This time, however, I heard Selena's aunt Dolores speaking and picked up the phone receiver immediately. "What's up?" I said. Dolores sounded calm and fairly collected, but her voice was a little higher pitched than usual, tight sounding. "Selena's been involved in an accident, Chris," she said. Her voice started to shake a little. "She's at Memorial Hospital. You need to get over there as soon as you can." Immediately, I thought of how fast Selena liked to drive. It must have been a car accident. I thought, what happened? I asked. My heart started to pound. Selena was shot twice. Dolores said, "You need to come to the hospital right away." I hung up the phone, ran into the living room, and told my dad about the call. I was upset, but still not panicked. People got shot and survived their wounds all of the time, I told myself. By now we were in the car. Aloud, I said to my dad, damn it, man, why did she have to go to that motel by herself this morning? Now look what's happened." My dad had been going the speed limit. He began driving faster and faster the closer we got to the Memorial Hospital. By the time he pulled into the hospital parking lot, he was driving so fast that the tires screeched as he went around that last corner. In my mind, of course, Selena was still alive. I was going into that hospital to see her and hold her in my arms, and the thought never entered my mind that my wife might not make it, much less that Selena might pass away before I could see her. Robert, one of our sound guys on the road, was already there. I saw him standing outside the main door smoking a cigarette, but he didn't say anything to me. My dad and I walked into the emergency room right away. A bunch of doctors, nurses surrounded me. Somebody put a hand on my shoulder and said, "This way, son." I was led into a waiting room. Everyone was there. Dictator, Marcella, Suzette, and many other family members. Only A, B, C, D, and G was missing. He had already slipped away to grieve on his own. When I saw them, I kind of gave everybody a smile, even though my stomach started twisting into knots at the sight of their expressions. "What's going on?" I said. "Where's Selena?" Dictator looked at me with dull eyes and said, "Selena passed away, Chris. She's dead. She was shot and she's dead." For a moment, I saw their feeling stunned, absolutely numb from shock. How was it possible that I wasn't ever going to see my wife alive again? Never to kiss her or feel her arms around me. Then I started sobbing, knowing that Selena was gone, but really grasping it. It took a while to believe that somebody is gone. You understand it, but you really don't believe it. Dictator was crying too now. We didn't know all the details of the shooting. Those came out much later. When everybody else started weeping with us and I suddenly had to get out of that room, escape that wall of grief, Selena's uncle Isaac, Dictator's younger brother, was sitting in the crowded waiting room. Excuse me for the trash truck. It would come when I'm reading, because normally it comes like early in the morning. He must have seen how I was. Wait a minute. So Dictator's younger brother was sitting in the crowded waiting room too. He must have seen how I was, for he opened the door and walked with me out into the hospital hallway. 2 doctors were standing there. One of them said to me, "We're sorry for your loss. We did everything we could." I couldn't speak. Then the doctor said, "We need you to come and identify the body." "What?" I said, disbelieving still that any of this was happening. "What do you mean? What do I have to do?" Isaac said, "What are you talking about? Selena's dead. Why does he have to look at her? Why does he have to look at her body?" "Somebody needs to come and identify her," one of the doctors said gently. "It's a standard procedure." "I can't do that." I gasped. I felt like I might pass out from grief. I could scarcely breathe. All I could think about was how Selena had looked when she turned and laughed this morning in the bedroom and told me to go back to sleep. Selena was gone. How could she be gone? I'm sorry, but you have to come with us and identify her, the doctor was repeating. I had been barely holding myself together. Now I went completely out of control, yelling at the doctors. I can't do that right now. All right? I shouted. I told you that already. I just can't. Isaac stepped between me and the doctors and said, What about me? Can I do it for him? Are you a family member? The doctor said. I'm her uncle, he said. The doctors led him away, leaving me standing alone in the hallway weeping. My dad drove me home from the hospital. I don't know what time we left or in what order anything happened. I was there but not there. It was like a nightmare. I walked around the rooms and saw Selena's clothes on the bed and our paperwork still on the kitchen table from the night before. I walked into the bathroom, and there was Selena's robe, still draped over the shower rod from this morning. It occurred to me then that of course Selena hadn't known it would be her last day on this earth either. I started to cry. My family gathered at the house. Certain details were starting to emerge about the shooting and were slowly filtering into my numb consciousness. I knew that Selena had gone to the Days Inn to meet Oompa that morning, had taken her to the hospital and called me when they were on their way back to Oompa's room. There had apparently been some kind of confrontation in the motel room, probably about the missing financial records. Just before noon, when Selena told Yolanda that she couldn't trust her anymore, I said, she don't get the privilege to get her name. Her name said. When Selena told Oompa that she couldn't trust her anymore, and the reason why I'm sniffing is because the pollen is really high, so my allergies are acting up. Sorry. Oompa had drawn the gum from her house. As Selena turned to leave the room, Oompa had fired once into my wife's back, severing the artery to the heart. Selena had managed to run across the parking lot towards the lobby, leaving a trail of blood and calling for help. That's what I think. I mean, I don't know, because what I read before in like the documents, the doctors had said that, and I've heard in interviews that if it was like a millimeter higher or lower, she would have survived. But I also felt like she maybe could have survived this had she not ran, because if you're like, you puncture an artery near the heart, to the heart, that's where the blood is circulated. But of course, if the artery is torn because you're bleeding from, a gunshot wound, it's going to squirt out profusively. So she's losing probably three times amount of blood because she's running, using up her energy. The blood is gushing out, and I think that made it worse. Now, but I know she was trying to run away because she was panicking and afraid that she was going to shoot her again. But I don't know why nobody opened the door for her at a motel. I'm sure the way that the Days Inn is set up, there was windows on the ground level. The ground level. Somebody saw Selena run, and they could have, ran and said, Selena, come in here, or something, or grabbed her and ran her in the in the hotel room and called for help in the hotel, and that may have saved her some ounces of blood, and maybe that could have saved her life. I don't know. It's different theories, but I think the running across the courtyard kind of made it more severe because the blood is like rushing out of her. But let me read on. Selena had managed to run across the parking lot towards the lobby, leaving in a trail of blood and calling for help. She had collapsed on the lobby floor, soaked in blood, begged the clerks to lock the door. She identified Oompa as the shooter to one of the clerks, who then dialed an ambulance. The paramedics tried to stop Selena's internal bleeding and perform CPR. Selena was still alive when they arrived at Memorial Hospital. She had apparently taken off the ring that Oompa had given her because when one of the paramedics tried to find a vein, the IV, Selena's hand opened and the ring fell out. In the in the hospital's trauma room, some doctors and surgeons had tried blood transfusions after opening up her chest, discovering massive internal bleeding. Selena died at just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was 2 days before our third wedding anniversary. After shooting Selena, Oompa had run to her truck and tried to flee the hotel parking lot, but the police had seen her trying to escape. Now, as our family gathered in the living room of our house, Oompa was parked in the truck with the same pistol aimed at her right temple. She was threatening to kill herself. I couldn't stay in the living room watching the standoff as the police tried to negotiate and stop her from pulling the trigger. Well, I don't know why they stopped her. They should have let her do it. Let her do it. I didn't think that Oompa would shoot herself. I didn't think so either, because if she really wanted to do it, she would have did it. She did that for attention. But I didn't really care what she did. It was as if I had been swallowed by a black cloud and couldn't see beyond my own grief. I went into our bedroom to lie down. After a little while, I got up again and collected the clothes that Selena had been wearing the night before. She had left them on the floor beside the bed. My family was still watching the standoff with Oompa on TV in total. She would stay in that pickup truck outside the Days Inn for over 9 hours. He never discussed how he got his truck back, unless the truck that she was sitting in was his, because I'm assuming it was his, because she drove her to the hospital and then they drove back to the hotel. So I'm assuming the truck that she was sitting in was his truck. Before finally letting the police take her into custody. Back in the bedroom, I sat on Selena's side of the bed and held her close. I could smell her perfume on them, and suddenly what I wanted more than anything else was to save that smell forever. I returned to the kitchen and put Selena's clothes in a plastic bag so that I could seal in the smell. I had to walk by the living room. Everyone looked up at me from the television where they were watching the standoff between the police and Oompa. I don't know why you all are watching that, I told them. She's not going to kill herself. Oompa kept saying that she was sorry for shooting Selena, but I didn't believe it. I was sure that she only wished that she had the nerve to pull that trigger. But she knew that didn't the same way that I knew it. This was all an act to show that she was feeling remorse. She wasn't. Oompa was just sorry that she got caught. I went back into our bedroom with Selena's clothes and held that bag in my arms, rocking a little on the edge of the bed. For the longest time, I kept that bag of Selena's clothes. I would poke a hole in it now and then and squeeze the bag so that I could smell her perfume. Then I sealed up the hole again as quickly as I could. I knew that I only had a certain number of times that I can do that before there would be nothing left of Selena. So I did not know, I forgot that there is one more chapter. So it will be a chapter 14, and that's 35 pages. So tomorrow I will read the first part of chapter 14. Then Friday I will read the middle part of chapter 14. And then Saturday I will read the last part of chapter 14. So today is what, the 12th? Thursday is the 13th. Friday is the 14th. Saturday is the 15th. So I will be finished the book by the day before her birthday, and then I'll do one more video, Selena video on her birthday. I'll pick like a topic that some of my supporters have asked me to do, and then at the end of that video, hopefully I remember, at the end of that video, I'll do like a little small slideshow, like picture slideshow of, her, and just, put happy birthday, even though I know she don't celebrate birthdays, but, for the fans. All right, for her fans. All right, so that will be it for today. I will get back with the last chapter tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday.